What do you think the Chicago Police Department is doing to prevent events like this?
Like what?
You know, just the crimes in general, like the killings and.
You know, I think it really depends on what part of the city you're talking about. I know that in some of the neighborhoods that have more crime, I know the police are patrolling a lot more. They're a lot more active. A lot of the high traffic areas like Michigan Avenue, they're patrolling a lot more. They're a lot more active for the purposes of trying to let the people who might be committing these crimes know that they are present, they are out, they are going to stop the crime.
So why do you think Chicago was the most corrupted city in the 19th?
Chicago still probably is one of the most. But in terms of the 1920s, it had to be corrupt because Al Capone's running the show. And Al Capone is, in order to kind of make sure his empire, his liquor distribution empire is surviving, he's got to pay people off. And the 1920s are a time of great excess, and even law enforcement doesn't really follow or view prohibition as something that needs to happen, and so you have people living the way they want to live rather than following the letter of the law, and Al Capone just kind of realized that and took advantage of it.
So do you think the gangs are similar?
No, it's completely different. Especially in Chicago, where you get a lot of this gang violence over drug territory and drug turf. And the reason is drugs are kind of a hot button issue, whether or not marijuana should be legal or not. And obviously then cocaine and more harmful drugs. Alcohol is something that's been around for 10,000 years, and most people didn't agree with prohibition, and when prohibition got passed, it caused a tremendous uproar, and so people were more willing to break the Prohibition Amendment versus now, when most drugs are viewed as harmful. So no, I don't think they're the same at all.
So do you think the crimes are still the same?
The crimes are still the same because people are still trying to control territory and maintain their lines of funding. But the motive behind them and the social opinion of them is very different.
How do you think Clark Street has changed since the 1920s?
How do I think Clark Street has changed since the 1920s?
It changed in a positive way?
Well, yeah, I think Clark Street has changed in a positive way. I live just off of Clark Street, and there are no mobsters carrying with machine guns pulling people in and shooting them up. But Clark Street has kind of become one of the more localized economic centers in Chicago, Wrigleyville, and then the further up it goes, it's kind of fostering all of these different businesses, and it's a major vein to the city. So Clark Street has definitely improved.
Did you think Al Capone's celebrity affect his criminal career?
Positively.
And would you use Al Capone as a symbol to represent Chicago?
Would I? No, but I'm from Chicago, so I know a lot of other Chicago symbols. Internationally, Al Capone's our second biggest celebrity after Michael Jordan. So, if you go around the world and you say, "Hey, I'm from Chicago," they'll say, "Oh, Michael Jordan," and they'll say, "Al Capone, bang bang." So, he's synonymous with the city.
So, how would you remember him? As with pride or with disgust?
Well, I'm a history teacher, so I have to look at all sides of Al Capone. And to me, in viewing the 18th Amendment prohibition, the 18th Amendment prohibition as unjust, I would view him as a criminal hero. He was rebelling against the government. His way was a lot more violent, but the idea of what he was doing in spirit, and we'll use that term loosely, is what America is about.
Why do you think he was open to the press and liked to talk to them?
Who was going to stop him?
That's it.
You're welcome.